explain why Spain offers a special 2-year pathway to citizenship for nationals from Iberoamerican countries and how this differs from the regular process?
Yes, so Spain tries to give like a fast track 2 years for those Iberoamerican countries that were colonies of Spain in the past.
Definitely, and since Spain is attracting a lot of immigration, of course, there is a legitimate interest in bringing people who share the same culture, the same values, usually the same language, because not only Iberoamerican countries can benefit from the 2-year fast track, but also countries like the Philippines, right?
Exactly, and Portugal, Philippines and Portugal.
And Iberoamerican, it's true, but Brazil as well. They don't share the same language, but they benefit from the 2 years fast track as well.
The only difference they will have, these countries that they get the 2 years, but they don't share the language, the Spanish, is that they will have to take a Spanish exam. That is the only difference with the other Iberoamerican countries, that they speak Spanish.
If I am a US citizen with a second nationality, for example, from Puerto Rico, Mexico, or another qualifying country, how can this dual citizenship benefit when applying for Spanish citizenship?
Well, it benefits you a lot because instead of being a resident for 10 years in Spain, you will just have to be 2 years as a resident in Spain in order to apply for the Spanish nationality.
What documents should someone prepare before moving to Spain to take advantage of the 2-year citizenship pathway?
Really, before moving to Spain, you don't need to bring anything because the documents expire. But it's true that when after 2 years you want to apply for the Spanish passport, you will have to have your birth certificate from the country that is Iberoamerican, because if you are a US citizen, for example, and a Colombian, Mexican citizen, you also have a birth certificate from this Iberoamerican country. So you will need this birth certificate and also the criminal records. But everything has to be updated at the moment of the application, so after 2 years of residency.
Do you remember for how long the window of validity is?
In the birth certificate, they are flexible, okay? For the criminal records, 3 months normally, okay? There are a lot of countries that are valid for 6 months if the document says so, okay? So because the document can say, from some countries they say when they expire, and in other countries they don't say when they expire. So the normal thing really is 6 months, okay? But if you are not sure, we always say 3 months because you will not be mistaken, because no document gets expired before the 3 months.
Is it enough with showing the passport, or you also need to show your birth certificate from the eligible country for the 2 years fast track?
Of course, you also need the passport, okay? But the main thing is the birth certificate. I know that there are some countries that they don't have this new birth certificate of the other country, okay? But normally there is. Normally you will have a birth certificate of the other Iberoamerican country. So you will show both the passport from the Iberoamerican country and the birth certificate from the Iberoamerican country. Don't get mistaken and you say, I was born in the US, so my birth certificate is from the US. Yes, it's true, you have a birth certificate from the US, but if you have another nationality, you have another document that is called birth certificate saying that you are from that country too.
Absolutely. For instance, when I applied for Spanish nationality, I'm not originally from Spain. Spain issued a birth certificate for Spain. So I have a birth certificate from my origin country, which is Argentina, and I also have birth certificate from Spain.
Exactly. When you become Spanish, you will also have a Spanish birth certificate, even that you haven't been born in Spain.
If I was born in the USA, but one of my parents is from an Ibero-American country, can I qualify as a national of that country to apply for the 2-year pathway?
Yes, you can, but as long as you also have that nationality, because your parents are from that country, but you should have gotten, or you can do it now, you should get that nationality, that birth certificate that we were talking from, and that passport from that country. It's not enough that your parents are, and proving to Spain that your parents are from an Ibero-American country. You need to prove that you have that nationality, that normally you will have it because your parents are from that country.
The 2-year fast track for Spanish citizenship only applies to Ibero-American nationals by origin. Can you please explain what that means?
Yes, of course. So you can have a passport and nationality because you were born there, or because your family, your parents normally are from there. That is called from origin. And you can also have a passport of that country because you've been living for a certain amount of time. That is called for residency. So if you want the fast track, the 2 years residency time in order to apply for the Spanish passport, you should have the Iberoamerican nationality by birth, by origin, not because you have lived there for a certain amount of time.
Has a family connection to Spain, such as a parent or grandparent, is or was Spanish citizen or born in Spain. Are there additional pathways to Spanish citizenship they might qualify for?
The best option right now will be what we call Ley de Memoria Democrática. Is the one that you don't even have to live here in Spain. You can show that your parents or grandparents are or were Spanish, and you can get the Spanish citizenship without living here. There is also a fast track because this law is not going to be forever. We have 1 more year of Ley de Memoria Democrática. If you are watching this very late, then you can also live here in Spain and do the fast track. But the best option right now is through the consulates. We can help you, of course, but doing the application without living here.
We have recorded a very thorough interview answering more than 30 questions about the Ley de Memoria Democrática that I highly recommend you to watch. I'm going to be sharing the link right here. If someone has Spanish ancestry or a high percentage of Spanish DNA from a test, could this help them qualify for Spanish citizenship?
No. Spain doesn't accept these kind of exams, genetic exams, okay? I know that they were done a lot through the Jewish path. So when it was available, this path, but no, for the Spanish passport right now, you need to show birth certificates, okay? Birth certificates in order to show that your parents or grandparents were Spanish if you are doing through the Ley de Memoria Democrática, but no these kind of exams, genetic exams, no.
If I have a Spanish last name, like Lopez, for example, could that play any role in qualifying me for Spanish citizenship?
No. This was usual also in the Jewish path, okay? People got this kind of studies about the last names. This is not acceptable. The Ministry of Justice wouldn't care about you submitting these kind of studies of the last names.
Once I have a passport from a country eligible for the 2 years fast track, what types of visas or residencies can I apply for in Spain that would count toward the residency requirement?
You can get any kind of residency permit except a student. Student permit doesn't count towards the 2 years for the passport or the 10 years, whatever. It doesn't count, okay? But any other kind of residency does.
Can you name a few residency types that people could apply for?
Yeah, of course, non-lucrative, nomad, that people doubt about if nomad counts. Of course, nomad counts, golden visa. Be careful with this kind, for example, golden visa. For the golden visa, you can get a visa at the consulate, okay? If you are getting a visa at the consulate, they give you 1 whole year that you can live and be in and out with that kind of visa, but that is not a residency. If you want the residency in order to count towards the passport, the Spanish passport, the 2 years for the Spanish passport, you have to apply for residency in Spain. So you have 1 year of visa that at whatever point of that year, you can apply for residency. And it's when you apply for that residency that it will start counting towards the passport.
If I am studying in Spain, does a student visa count toward the residency required for the 2 year citizenship fast track?
No. It doesn't count. It counts half for the long-term residency, which is something different, okay? It counts half for the European long-term residency, but it doesn't count for the Spanish passport, for the 2 years of the Spanish passport. So in that case, you need to try to change it to a work permit. Normally, it's a residency and a work permit. What you can do from Spain, from a student, you can usually change to work permits.
And that once you have the work permit, that will count toward the residency requirement to fulfill the 2 years period.
Exactly. From that moment, from the moment that you switch to a work permit, a nomad, entrepreneur, whatever, then it will start counting for the 2 years residency for the passport.
Is it possible to move to Spain on an American passport without being a dual citizen and later acquire an Ibero-American one to qualify for the 2 year fast track?
Yes, well, this is a very good question. If you just read the law, it wouldn't be possible because the law says that you need to come to Spain with already in your residency should be mentioned already your Iberoamerican nationality. But there was a speech, a meeting from the director of the area, and it was settled that they would accept the Ibero-American passport, even that you don't have the residency with that Ibero-American passport. And it haven't been any problem with these cases. I have had a lot that they were coming with the American passport, but at the moment of the application of the nationality, we were showing the other passport, the other Ibero-American passport, and it's fine.
Does Spain allow dual citizenship with all countries, or are there certain limitations, especially for people from countries like the US?
Yes, so this is very complicated for me to explain because it's a little crazy. So the thing is, there is non-double nationality agreement with countries that are not Ibero-America. So the US, for example. So when you get the Spanish nationality, you declare that you give up your US passport. But this is not recognized by the US. For example, the US says that in order to be to quit being a US citizen, there is a process much more complicated, and it's not a declaration to Spain, which will be valid for them. So there is a situation in which for Spain, you have given up your US passport, but for the US, you still be a US citizen. What could be the consequence? The consequence, it could be only that if Spain finds out that you keep using your US passport, they could start a process to cancel the Spanish passport. They can never do anything to your another nationality, but they can start a process canceling the Spanish passport because you haven't followed what you were committed to, that is giving up the US passport.
But in practical terms, people don't renounce their American passport. Is that correct?
No, in practical terms, they don't do it because they cannot do it, but because the US doesn't recognize that. So in practical terms, they do this declaration for Spain that doesn't have an effect for the US, and they are US citizens in the US, and they act as Spanish in Spain. So in practical terms, you have dual citizenship because they are not coordinated, Spain and the US, and they don't have the same criteria.
Exactly. Spain will not check if you enter the US using your US passport. It's not that is shared between those two countries.
Yes, maybe they could get that information, but they don't have the means in order to analyze all of the people going in and out just to check if they are following their declaration not to use the US passport.